As a public defender, Judge Karen fought for her client's rights. She was elected to the bench because she believes in doing the right thing.
I'm very passionate about helping people, period.
Y'all two grown people need to get your own house.
Right.
You had 7 years to have told him that.
When we fight, who's gonna win?
You are.
I don't answer questions, I ask them.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand.
Objective, independent justice.
I'm ready to rule.
If you keep walking, you can overcome whatever circumstances you're facing.
This is Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. Rachel Fries is suing her ex-fiancé, Ethan Albright, in the amount of $738. Ms. Fries claims they were celebrating their engagement on a cruise and says she caught him sexting another woman, so she flew home.
Ms. Fries, you're suing Mr. Albright for $738, which represents money owed for a flight you had to take. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay, so he's your fiance, or he was your fiance?
Ex-fiance.
So how long were y'all together?
We were together for a total of 8 years.
8 years. Okay, what was that relationship like?
To be honest, Your Honor, quite rocky.
Right. But it must have had some good times because you were together that long.
Absolutely, there were definitely ups, but there were
A lot of downs. Well, that's life anyway, is ups and downs. Were we living together?
We were.
And how long did you live together?
we moved in with each other about 3 years after we started dating, so about 5 years.
About 5 years. Okay, so tell me, how is it that you decided that you wanted to get married?
Honestly, Your Honor, it was an ultimatum by
An
Rachel.
ultimatum?
Yes.
What did she tell you?
She basically said that all her friends are getting married, and that if I don't propose by our 5th anniversary, then she was going to leave me.
And how long had you been together when she gave you that?
At that point,
ultimatum?
right after our 4th anniversary.
Okay, so she was basically giving you another year to get it together.
Yeah.
That's a long 365-day ultimatum, though. It took you another year to ask her, right? You took another year to ask her.
But she knows, and we've had conversations about this, that I personally don't believe in marriage.
Right.
I've
Did
just
you know
seen it
that?
fall
That he
apart.
doesn't even believe in marriage?
He never said that clearly. He was always very wishy-washy.
Right.
And that's why I gave him the ultimatum. I
Right.
wanted to know if we were on the same path. And if we weren't, I was ready to part ways.
And you were giving him a year to figure it out.
I was very patient.
Okay, so she was patient, gave you a year, then what happened?
I proposed.
Okay, all right. So you did it on your own free will
Yeah.
by that time.
Yeah.
All right, and you said yes?
I did.
Okay, so then what happened?
We were engaged for about a year, very happily.
Wow, it's a slow thing, right?
Yeah, it was.
Another year of being engaged, okay.
Yes. And
how was the relationship that year?
that year, things were great. I think it was like the most in love we had ever been.
Really? You
Yeah.
agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I would. It was.
That's nice. So we're in year 6 now.
Year 5.
No, you were in year 5. No, it was at year 5. Oh yeah, year 5 he had to propose. All right, then we go through another year though.
Yes.
And at the end of year 6, what happens?
He was having some work stress, and the pandemic hit.
Oh.
And it derailed all of our marriage
Plans.
planning.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So
What's your job? What do you do?
I work in construction. I'm a contractor.
Okay, and you?
I work in marketing.
Okay. So then the pandemic happens, then what?
His work started picking back up,
Mm-hmm.
and I was ready to hit the ground running with wedding planning again. I was showing him venues, trying to just get planning back in motion.
So we're planning a wedding.
We're
again.
planning a wedding.
How many people were you planning to have?
About 200,
Oh,
250.
a big wedding.
Yeah.
A nice big wedding. Okay. So then something else happened?
Yes, a spiral of things happened. He wasn't helping me plan at all.
Right.
And he
wasn't going with you to the cake tasting stuff?
No.
Right.
No.
I don't know why
was-
women want men involved in all of that. I mean, really. You bake the cake.
Yeah.
Send him the bill.
Yeah. I was.
But he
I was-
wasn't helping.
Right, he wasn't helping, and I also was just not seeing him much. His work was picking up. He had to hire an assistant to keep up with everything, and I
Okay.
started to feel really distant.
Right. He was spending more time in the office?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then what happened? What happened next, Mr. Albright?
After I was working all of the time and
Right.
paying most of our bills.
Okay.
We announced, we settled on a date for our
Okay.
wedding, and we had announced it. And
Okay.
at that point,
Did we send out invitations?
we did.
Oh, you sent out invitations.
Yes,
wow,
we did.
Okay.
And so, in response to that, we were given a gift by my parents of a cruise. Originally going to be a little bit of an extended honeymoon
Right.
after the wedding.
So you were going to take the cruise after the wedding.
Correct.
But then what happened? What happened then?
So we, first of all, put the wedding on pause because we weren't connecting anymore. He was
Okay.
at work all the time, wasn't
Right.
helping me with the wedding. I felt alone.
So
But we decided
you postponed the wedding again.
again.
Okay.
But we decided to take the honeymoon cruise anyway because it was non-refundable.
Right.
And we wanted to try and reconnect at that time.
Okay. Where'd you go?
Cabo San Lucas.
Oh, okay.
Coming up on Supreme Justice.
I had just women's intuition that something was wrong.
Okay.
And decided to go through his text messages.
Right.
And I actually found text messages exchanged between he and his assistant.
Okay. What were those messages?
They were sext messages.
And later,
There was one dancer in particular.
Wait, they're supposed to take off their clothes.
But more than what we were promised.
Okay, like what? How much did they take off?
Like down to the underwear.
That's what they do.
if you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. Supreme Justice is back with the case of Rachel Fries, who is suing her ex-fiancé Ethan Albright for travel expenses.
So the third night, I needed my phone to keep in contact with work. My Wi-Fi wasn't working, so I asked to borrow his phone.
Okay.
I had just women's intuition that something was wrong.
Okay.
And decided to go through his text messages.
Right.
And I actually found text messages exchanged between he and his assistant.
Okay. What were those messages?
They were sext messages. I have
Let me
them
see.
here.
Let's see if we don't know if we're going to read them out loud yet.
And he was also telling her that he did not want to be with me and just had to wait until this honeymoon cruise to break up with me.
Oh, this is sad.
To be fair, Your Honor, yes, it is true that I was at the time seeing my now fiance Ileana, but while we were on the cruise. But to be clear, we had just started a budding relationship and
Budding or budding?
budding.
Okay.
It was just beginning.
Okay.
And I had talked with Ileana about what to do with this tender situation because to me it felt like our relationship was ending.
Right.
And we were
But
gifted.
why did you take the cruise with her?
Because we were gifted it. It wasn't a gift from or to me. It was a gift to both of us, and it felt
Right.
wrong for me to take that away and
Yeah, but
and
how
then
long
pile on
had you
bad
been
news.
Ileana, as you say in your text? How long had that been going on? I never heard that
We'd been seeing each
expression.
other for 2 months before the
Right.
before the
Oh,
cruise
okay.
left the port. Yes.
And
I had
he's
full
She didn't
intention.
give you any ultimatum? All of a sudden you're engaged to her, what? About a year later? When did you get engaged?
Yeah, we had been together for about a year. Yes.
Okay, when you proposed to her?
I did. Yeah.
You might have done you a favor here.
I think so.
Because he's showing you who he is. All right, so then what happened? You see these text messages, very painful, very
Yes.
hurtful, I agree.
And then that night, I waited for him to get back to the cabin
Right.
and confronted him about it.
And he said,
Well, he was very drunk, and he really didn't own up to anything. He just started going off on me for going through his phone
Right.
and didn't apologize once for having this affair.
wow, yeah.
So then I didn't want to be anywhere near him. I went down to guest services to
Right.
try and get a different cabin, and there weren't any available. The cruise ship was fully booked. And so I just wanted to get out of there. The next morning, I grabbed my bags.
Your Honor, that night, sure, okay, I'll admit, I was drunk. And did I get a little angry because she had looked through my phone?
Right.
Yes, of course I did. But I slept that night on the deck of the boat on
You should have
on
stayed
chairs.
out there on that deck.
I offered
You
that.
should have stayed right out there on that deck.
I offered that to her
Don't tell me that
so
you
she
did
could have the
anything
room.
honorable. The honorable thing was to have him get off the ship. Why did you get off the ship?
I just couldn't stand to be around him for another minute. First, and he was also blackout drunk.
So what?
He didn't just fall asleep.
Even more reason to get him off the ship.
Exactly. So I just wanted to get as far away from him as possible.
So
I didn't
you
want to
got
deal
off
with
the
the goodbyes.
ship, bought yourself a ticket, and flew home.
Yes.
And this is the $738.
Yes, and I have a copy as well of that ticket.
So let me ask you this question.
Yes.
What is your theory, your legal theory, as to why he owes you $738 for getting off the ship and going home?
I believe that he brought me on that cruise under false pretenses.
He didn't bring you on the cruise. You two were gifted a cruise.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we were gifted a cruise.
Under what theory of law is it that you think breach of contract? What's the contract?
We were engaged to be married. I believe that when you are in engagement with someone, that is a contract. We made a verbal contract to spend the rest of our lives together.
But breach of a promise to marry is not actionable in your state anyway. I think it's only North Carolina, maybe. Not a lot of states, one or two, not yours. You know, everything in life is not actionable in court. It just isn't. You know, every wrong cannot be corrected by a judge, as much as we would like to think that everything that happens to us. Heartbreak, I can't make that right. That's really what this is about. You know, you're going to try to fashion it into you somehow broke an agreement. He broke your heart, and I can't repair that for you. You need to let this bozo go. Okay, I feel sorry for Ileana, but she's getting what she deserves too. I promise you. Because if he fooled around on you, he's going to fool around on her. So he did you a favor. You see what kind of gentleman he is not. All right. Unfortunately, I hate that I have to dismiss your case, but I have to dismiss your case. Case dismissed. Good luck to you.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case has been dismissed.
I'm happy today justice was served, and I'm going to take my $700 and put it towards my brand new wedding.
I'm upset with the outcome, but I'm just ready to cruise on with my life and hopefully find somebody better.
Coming up.
So when I gave her the eye contact, I got on the handstand.
Right.
Cause I see she was giving that heavily, you know, stares.
Right.
She was vibing.
Disturbed.
So when I turned around and she seen the back muscles,
right,
it's like she got like possessed or something. Like she got off, she just went on this, like she just grabbed me.
You're watching Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. Performer Carter Steele is suing Stephanie Kelton in the amount of $1,500. Mr. Steele claims he was hired for a burlesque event and says Ms. Kelton refused to pay the male dancers after she abruptly stopped the performance.
Okay, what do you do for a living?
I'm an exotic dancer.
Oh, you're an exotic dancer. And how did you meet the defendant?
I met the defendant through a mutual friend. She needed to do a show. She had a venue set up through my friend. That's how it started.
So let me ask the defendant, so what kind of show was this?
It was a Mother's Day special. It was the Saturday night before Mother's Day. It was supposed to be a fun, classy event.
Right.
And then we're going to stay on stage,
right,
dance a little. We were going to watch from the audience. Nobody
right,
was going to get touched. It was just going to be fun.
Okay, so what happened?
We didn't get to a closing number because the defendant shut down the show.
Right. At what point
through.
did she shut down the show?
At the third dancer.
So the man came off the stage?
Well, he did, but also some of the clients came up to the stage too, Your Honor.
Right. Well, they can come up to the stage, but not on the stage.
Correct.
Okay. Did anybody come up on the stage?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So what is it that you saw happen?
There was a man dancing, and he had taken women's hands and put them on his body.
Okay. All right. So then what? Have you shut down the show?
I let the number finish because I was just in shock because this is not what I was expecting.
Who are these witnesses here? Rebecca Henry? Is that
She
one
was
of
at
the
the
women?
event. She's one of my friends.
Okay, let me hear from Rebecca Henry.
Come here.
Come forward and be sworn.
Coming up.
She was vibing.
Disturbed.
So when I turned around and she seen the back muscles,
right,
she just went on this, like she just grabbed me.
You're watching Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. Supreme Justice is back with the case of Carter Steele, who is suing Stephanie Kelton for non-payment of services.
What's your relationship to the defendant, ma'am?
My mother, Natalie Henry, knows the defendant.
So you attended the burlesque show?
Yes, I went with my mother for Mother's Day.
What did you expect to see at a male burlesque show?
Yeah, well,
What did you expect to see?
we were definitely expecting to see hot men dancing.
Right.
Hey.
Okay. And you saw hot men dancing?
Oh, we did indeed.
Okay. And then did something else happen that was more than just hot men dancing?
Yeah, so, you know, my mother and I went for Mother's Day. We're both big supporters of the arts, and we've
Right.
never been before, so we were very excited to go. And
Right.
it started off very...
These aren't the arts. Big supporter of the arts. This isn't the arts. You know, you could have had a play, but that's not what you had. You had a male burlesque show. And so when did you stop having a good time?
So just as the dances kept going, they got a little bit more explicit, a little bit more intense.
Like what?
You know, like taking off their clothes. There was one dancer in particular.
Wait, they're supposed to take off their clothes.
But more than what we were promised.
Okay, like what? How much did they take off?
Like down to the underwear.
That's what they do.
Well, I think we were told that it was going to be a classy event.
Right.
And then the dancers, they, you know, at
Let me
first,
see
you
this
know,
contract. Enough. Let me see the contract. Y'all should have just gone to church that Sunday. Okay, what's your witness? You have a witness, Walter Kent. What is he going to tell me?
Walter was the third dancer.
He's the one. Let me hear from Walter.
He's the one.
Court calls Walter Kent.
Judge Karen's verdict when Supreme Justice returns. You're watching Supreme Justice with Judge Karen.
Where does it say in here that they're not supposed to come off the stage? Can you pass this to her, please, the contract? I might have missed it, but tell me in there, where does it say they're not supposed to come off the stage?
That might have been part of our verbal agreement.
Okay, we don't talk about verbal agreements. They're not worth the paper they're written on. So you're one of the dancers?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened?
So it was this one lady, her name was Rebecca. She was dead,
Is this Rebecca here?
Oh, yeah, right there.
That's her, yeah.
I remember the smile.
Yo.
Oh, you remember Rebecca?
Oh, yeah, I remember Rebecca.
I'm so glad I called Rebecca first.
So when I gave her the eye contact, I got on the handstand.
Right.
Cause I see she was giving that heavily, you know, stare.
Right.
She was vibing.
Disturbed.
So when I turned around and she seen the back muscles,
Right.
it's like she got like possessed or something. Like she got off, she just went on this, like she just grabbed me.
And what was Rebecca doing then?
Rebecca, it was like she was a performer too. She started dancing as well.
Your Honor, we're
How
supposed
did
to
you,
believe...
excuse me, how did you remember her name was Rebecca?
She whispered in my ear.
What'd she say?
She said, "My name is Rebecca."
Your Honor, seriously.
And then
And so when was the show called off?
it was called off when
Her mom's got
her
mad.
moms got mad. I think her moms got real
Moms
turned
got
The
on.
mad.
contract doesn't say that they can't come off the stage. And so she paid you $1,500 and she owes you $1,500?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm ready to rule judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,500.
I'm happy with the ruling today. Justice was served. All we wanted to do was have fun and pop our chests.
The guy's story was made up. I'm very disappointed justice was not served today.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.